I swear I am the shiniest man on the planet. Alright, so the other day I was streaming some infamous Second Son, and in very coincidental timing, Sucker Punch Productions happened to release a statement in regards their games. Sucker Punch Productions are also the creators of Infamous Second Son, Sly Cooper, and more recently, Ghost of Tsushima. So here's what they said in their statement. Yeah, statement from Sucker Punch Productions, oddly enough, creators of this game. As we approach 25 years since Sucker Punch first opened, we're proud to look back on the legacy of the characters and stories we've created. From Rocket Robot Wheel Rocket Robot on Wheels, I can't even say that correctly, to Sly Cooper and Infamous, and most recently Ghost of Tsushima. As our games continue to grow in scale and complexity, they require the full attention of our studio. With our focus on our current projects, we have no plan to revisit Infamous or Sly Cooper right now. Why? And no other studio is currently working on projects related to those franchises either. These characters are very special and near and dear to our hearts, so while we'd never say never to reopening those doors down the road, for now there are no Infamous or Sly Cooper games in development. That's a damn shame. We know many people still play these games even today. Hey, right now. So we'll be performing maintenance on Infamous 2 UGC servers soon to move them to a new home that will keep them up and running a bit longer. That's really weird. We will eventually need to sunset these, but want to keep them running for as long as possible for players who are still active. We're also working to put Cole's Legacy DLC for Infamous Second Son, which was previously only available as part of the Collector's Edition, on PlayStation Store in all territories for anyone who missed it. Thank you to everyone for an incredible 24 plus years of support. Your love and appreciation are what fuels us to keep making new games, new worlds, and we look forward to continuing to bring new and exciting ideas to life for many years to come. We're not ready to talk about whatever might be next, but we still hope you'll keep following us whenever we're ready to share more. That is so deflating. So there's two things I want to talk about in regards to this statement. First off, I do appreciate the honesty that Sucker Punch Productions makes with this. I think it's quite good for a studio to just be like, hey, no, just to let you know, we're not working on that. Like, stop. Just to completely cut off any artificial hype that might be created by people, because the games industry is so guilty of that, where it's like, oh, they're working on a new freaking Pong. I have a lot of mixed feelings on it. I don't really like it when something overstays its welcome. That's kind of how you get something like a Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, where it'll just go on and on and on every year, forever and ever, until we're released from these mortal coils and we're all just old and dead. And the thing that's just still in place is, oh my god, they've made a Modern Warfare 58. Ugh. So I quite like the creative decision to just put them in their own little space and just say, look, we've just committed to these 3 games or these 4 games or whatever you want to say. The story of Sly Cooper or Cole or Delson or whoever, it's complete, it's done. We're not doing anything else with that. I can really respect that, and I would never want them to phone it in with those series, because I think they are such good series. And the statement doesn't say that these games will never come back, just that there's nothing planned for the moment, either by Sucker Punch or any other studios, which is fine. They could come back to it down the road. It's just kind of sad, really, because Sony kind of has a few series like this where they've kind of just been left fall into purgatory, like Lost. I know with the Killzone series, they let like the rights for the website, I think, lapse. There was something there last year. The Resistance games by Insomniac, I really like those, even though I didn't play the third one. But you know, that's a series that could get expanded on. And then you got some other like random series like SOCOM or The Getaway, stuff like that. Stuff which would have been like flagship console sellers a few years back for particularly the PS2 and PS3 generation. And now they're just kind of not around in any way. But then you have other series which are kind of ongoing in their own little way. Like Jak and Daxter, I know people often wish for a new entry, but the first 3 games have been ported to PS4, and even Jak X has been ported. So it still is possible to play that on the newest hardware because they put in the effort to port it. Ratchet and Clank has ongoing entries like the entire time, and even a remake of the first game. Stuff like Little Big Planet has kind of new stuff in Sackboy's big adventure. What is the name of that game? It's just kind of unfortunate that some of these other series are relegated to being restricted to either the weird PS3 streaming service or just not available at all in any way. I've talked about it before that the backwards compatibility for PS5 is a bit disappointing that way, and I do think that Sony should preserve their back catalog a lot better than they are, because they are so good, and I think they could make so much money on it. But obviously, this stuff is dictated by sales and budgeting and money and all that fun business that we definitely can't get access to, like all the nitty gritty details of. It just feels like these days, unless the game's name is The Last of Us, there's not a huge amount of effort to preserve the game beyond the PS3 generation. Sony are getting better with backwards compatibility in that they've recently brought out PS1 emulation on the PS5 and one PSP game. Woohoo! Man, that's... Whew. Boy, they're really rocketing ahead with that. It's just a shame that a lot of this stuff is locked behind PS3 streaming as opposed to natively running on the latest hardware, either via backwards compatibility or being ported. I think it's important for Sony and the developers of these games to preserve these IPs in an effective way, not just via PS3 streaming or via subscription service, but being able to run natively on the latest hardware or being emulated effectively on the latest hardware. I mean, I just want to be able to... I want to... Where is it? Where's it gone? I just want to be able to put Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 into my PS5 and play them straight away without having to set up a stupid PS3. They're good games. I definitely think moving on to new IPs is absolutely worthwhile, because I love Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's probably one of my favorite PS4 games. It's like absolutely just good stuff. I don't have a problem with them not doing anything with these IPs. I do think they're valuable IPs that they definitely could do more with. But the fact that they're not easily playable at the moment is my biggest problem here. Sucker Punch released this statement, presumably because so many people respond to them on Twitter or on other social media saying, hey, when's Sly Cooper 4? Oh boy, I can't wait for a new Sly Cooper game. Or I think there was even a rumor about a new inFamous game a while back for the PS5. I think you'd curb a lot of this behavior from people commenting, where's Sly 5 or where's inFamous 3 or 4 or whatever you want to call it. If you made these games and these series easily accessible, not via a subscription service and a streaming service, but just by being able to go onto the PS Store and buy them and play them straight away. The reason that people want a new Sly Cooper game or a new inFamous game is because more than likely they're nostalgic for these old games that they can't easily get their hands on now. I just think it's important to keep these games, which are so greatly valued by people from their childhood or just from any period in their life, readily available, especially if they are valuable IPs. I mean, Sly Cooper was a PS2 flagship. Like, if you ask anyone about, hey, who are the PlayStation mascots for the PlayStation 2, you'll get Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper. Like, they're just... You don't want to be Nintendo about it and just drip feed back these older games for the sake of monetary gain, cashing in on people's nostalgia. I think it would just be much stronger for them to have all this stuff ready to go. So yeah, it's a shame that they're not working on anything, and I can really respect moving on from a creative standpoint to write a new game. If it's another Ghost of Tsushima or if it's something else that Sucker Punch are working on, then fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. But I think it's just good to, I guess for lack of a better term, remember where you came from. Remember like the games that got Sony to where they are now. So I guess for now, we're just going to have to let Sly Cooper and Cole McGrath and Delson Rowe, that's his name. I guess all these characters and the great games associated with them are just going to have to rest for a while. Even though they have been resting this whole time. But yeah, we're not really going to get anything new with them. It's kind of sad, really. I think there's a lot of potential with them all. But hey, at least we got the Last of Us remake on the way, right?